Welcome to this lesson in data structures and algorithms. We have the following questions to help us practice. So the first question there is asking us to explain what is meant by a primitive data structure. What is meant by a primitive data structure? So let us look at that. What is a primitive uh, data structure or data type rather? That is a primitive data type. Okay. So a primitive data type is basically a basic data type. These are the ones that we work with, okay, that we work with mostly in C++. So a primitive data type is a basic data type which composes of simple values that cannot be broken down any further. Okay, so these are things like strings, characters, and booleans, doubles, floats, the basic ones that we know. So a basic data type holding simple values that cannot be broken down any further. Okay, holding simple values that cannot be um, broken down any further. Holding simple values that cannot be broken down any further. Okay. So examples of these, of course, they are floats and doubles. Now we also have what we call dynamic data types. Dynamic data types. This is just an addition to the question. Dynamic data types or non-primitive data types. Okay. Dynamic data types or non-primitive data types. Is a non-primitive. So with these, basically, these are complex data types that hold large values. Okay. An example of these are arrays. Okay. Because if you've noticed, arrays have the capacity to hold more than one value. Okay. Arrays have the capacity to hold more than one value. Meanwhile, primitive data types such as strings, they can only hold one value. Okay, but arrays can hold more than one value. So that is just an addition, but a primitive data type holds simple values such as strings, doubles, floats, ints, those basic ones that we know. But with the dynamic ones, because you might be wondering if this is a simple one, is there something that is more complex? The answer is yes. It is the non-primitive data type, and this one can hold more complex values. We go to question 2, where you've been told to explain FIFO and LIFO. So LIFO, which means last in, first out. Okay, last in, first out. Last in, first out. So this one is a mode. Okay, so LIFO. So this one is a mode of data insertion or retrieval. Okay, so the last in, first out, LIFO, is a mode of data insertion and retrieval, where the first value to be inserted is the last one to be retrieved or output. So this is a situation whereby, let's say, um, the one that enters last, okay, the one that enters last, okay, the one that enters last, whichever enters last is going to be the one that is going to come out first. That's what LIFO means. Okay, whatever enters last is the one that is going to be obtained first in terms of how that data is going to be uh, um, accessed. Then we have the first in, first out, which is the FIFO. The first in, first out, which is the FIFO. So this one is a mode of data insertion and retrieval where the first value to be inserted, I'm sorry, this one was supposed to say where the last value, okay, sorry about that, that was supposed to say last. Well, the first value to be inserted is the last one to be obtained. Similar to how queues work. Queues work, you know, when you queue up in a supermarket, whoever forms the queue first is the one who's going to access the services or exit the queue altogether. Okay. Then explain what is meant by an array. What is an array? So an array, we're saying that an array is a dynamic variable capable of holding more than one value. Okay, so the key word there, the key thing to remember there is that an array is a variable, but it is a special type of variable. It is a dynamic or non-primitive data type variable which can hold a lot of values, just like we explained there in question number 1. Here now we've been told to write a C++ program to demonstrate how an array called figures can be populated with 10 integers using the cin operator, just to complete the question, okay, using the cin operator. So let us write this program now in C++. So we are writing the C++ program now. So there you simply say hash include iostream, right? Hash include iostream. You put your namespace as usual. You put your namespace. Then you define your main program now. You define your main program. Okay. Put your return 0. Okay. So here you're now declaring this array called figures, right? So figures is going to hold how many integers? 10 integers. So already you know that you need an array called figures, which is an integer. So you declare that as type int, then you name that array. Okay, you name that array, and remember arrays have these square brackets known as subscripts, and these, they simply hold the total number of values which the array can store. Like in this case, it's supposed to hold 10 integers. So we'll put a 10 there to show that this array can store 10 figures. Now, we begin now to demonstrate how this array can be inserted with 10 integers using the cin operator. So, to see in 10 integers to this array, that needs to work in the presence of a loop. You need a loop to help you do this. So you need to construct a loop that will loop from 1 up to 10, and it should be able to store all these 10 values. So there, let us declare a for loop. So you say for, then you declare a looping variable inside there. We just name it x, and then so this one is supposed to start from 0. Why? Because 0 is the index number. In arrays, there's what we call the index number. So if you've got 10 numbers in the array, right? Each number there has got what is known as the index number. That is the address position. So the first number is at position 0, all the way up to position number 9. So this is why we're starting with 0 in this for loop. Then there we're going to say x is less than 10. Okay? When you say less than 10, it is different when you say less or equals to 10. When you say less is or equals to 10, it means 10 inclusive. But less than 10 means 10 is not there. Instead, we're starting from 9. So this loop is looping from 0 up to 9. But when you count those numbers, 0 up to 9, they are 10, which shows you that what we are looping instead is the index numbers. Then after that, we put the increment operator. Then we open the loop body now. And this is where we're now going to put the C in. Then we'll just call the array name, which is figures. Then inside the square brackets, we shall pass this looping variable x. So meaning this loop is going to execute. This loop is going to execute, okay? So when the cin is going to be done, this loop is going to force the cin to run 10 times, thereby allowing you to fill or populate this array with 10 integers. So for a loop to be populated with a given number of values, you need to put that cin part of the loop. So if you were told put 15 values, you start from 0 then up to less than 15. Yes, less than 15. Yes, less than 15. So mean the index number there is 0 to 14. So that is how you are supposed to deal with such type of question. In the next session, I will start a new topic called hashing, and I'll see you in the next session.